Good morning once again. The man right behind me is your new head coach for the Black Stars, Chris Hughton. After many months of media reports claiming that he was going to be handed the job to succeed Otto Addo, the Ghana Football Association officially confirmed that Chris Hughton, a former coach of Newcastle United, Norwich City, Brighton and Hove Albion, Nottingham Forest, would be in charge of the senior national team. And he's going to ensure that Ghana qualifies to the next edition of the African Cup of Nations and also the FIFA World Cup 2026. The contract duration, the Ghana Football Association is yet to officially announce. But what does Chris Hughton bring to the table as head coach of the Black Stars? Many have said he is the quote-unquote big name, apart from Evran Grant, to lead the national team since 2015. So joining me for this conversation, two coaches. One of them is joining via the phone, J.E. Sarpong and Laia Kingston. However, we had to have Laia Kingston join the conversation. But we can start with Coach J.E. Sarpong to share with us his thoughts on what Chris Hughton is bringing to the table. Good morning, Coach. How are you doing? We appreciate your time with us. A quick one. What does Chris Hughton bring to the table as head coach of the Black Stars? It appears we cannot get in touch with J. Sarpong yet, but as I mentioned, the Ghana Football Association decided that Chris Hughton is going to be the next man to oversee the technical affairs of the Black Stars. Chris, he had been the technical advisor of the Black Stars since March 2022, and he was part of the technical team that ensured that Ghana qualified to the World Cup 2022 in Qatar, a tournament Ghana exited at the group stages of that competition. And he was also in charge, he was also the technical advisor of the team that oversaw Ghana's participation in the FIFA World Cup. He will be working with Didi Dramani and George Boateng. Let's hear from Didi what kind of a man Chris Hughton is and what he brings to the table as head coach.
He's a complete person. A complete person with good experience, with huge maturity in terms of, so when I talk about huge maturity, then it means you know that his experience and his knowledge in the game both together makes him a more mature. And he's a human-centered person. You know, he connects people a lot. And a person who connects people a lot, you know, tells you that he's somebody who really stands out for development. I'll show you his pictures. He know he was here. He came here. I just told him, look, there's something good to come in our environment so that you understand what a right to dream is all about. And then he came. I sent for him. He came. And we spent the whole day here. He was flying out that very day. We spent time in my technical office to engage with my staff. We spent time to engage with the student fools. So what does it tell? It tells you that this person is a human-centered person. And in our environment, we need people who are human-centered people. People can easily, you know, get at, you know, at that level, you need people who connect and work, you know, so that you bring your experience to bear. And so completely he's a human-centered person who connects people around.
Well, that was Didi Dramani, an assistant coach to Chris Hughton. They worked together between March and December 2022. They were together when Ghana played Nigeria 2 times to qualify to the FIFA World Cup. The first at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium, which ended in a 0-0 stalemate before a 1-1 draw at the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja, where Ghana scored in that game. By virtue of scoring an away goal, the Black Stars were able to qualify for the World Cup that took place in Qatar. And they were together when Ghana participated in the World Cup in Qatar, winning just a game after 3 rounds of matches. And that victory came against South Korea. And Didi Dramani, there wouldn't be any person better placed to have an insight as to what Chris Hughton will be bringing to the table other than one man he's worked with. And he's spoken about how Chris Hughton is a human-centered person, and human-centered people are very good when it comes to building teams. And he feels that Chris Hughton will bring in a lot. His experience alone is enormous, and he expected that it's going to work. Let's go on the phone right now and speak to Mr. Sapon. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello. Unfortunately, the phone has dropped, and we'll be getting him back to speak to us. But many of you you've been reacting on social media following the appointment of Chris Hughton as the head coach. There are some people who actually believe that it's just new wine in a different glass, or whichever way they put it. But there are also people who are actually very confident that Chris Hughton is going to do a very good job. Nana Ajiman is a football coach, and he'll be speaking to us as well about what Chris Hughton brings to the table. Nana, good morning.
Good morning, Mustafa. How are you, my brother?
I'm doing well. How are you too?
I'm also fine. Fine. They just caught me on the hop. I'm just coming from my morning workout.
So I can see because you look like someone who just came up from the workout, isn't it?
Yeah. So my apologies to your viewers about that. I just stepped in.
Thank you very much. Talk to us briefly. Chris Hughton, what do you think he brings to the table as head coach of the Black Stars?
Well, he brings a wealth of experience. I mean, that cannot be denied. I think that technically he's very gifted. You look at the clubs that he's been at, he understands football. He's not someone who's going to subscribe to our jujunomics. He's looking on the technicality, the practicality, the pragmatism of the game. So I think he brings a lot. By and by, my only concern is that basically I think he will look more at foreign-based players because he has a greater understanding of how football is played internationally. Yes. And we're a bit limited here with our approach, with our attitude and the way we play the game. So I think that he'll be focused a lot on those players who play abroad because basically the mentality of him as a coach and those players will be round about the same. He'll not have to do any conversion as such in terms of their thinking. So I think he will more lean towards that. And perhaps if we get one or two exceptional players in the league who you can mentally mold and, give them a role and create a presence for them in the team that they can adapt to, I think, that will happen. But I think essentially years of experience, years of technical ability, and a position in which he knows players abroad and he knows their mentality abroad, and he'll be trying to build a different Black Stars that's built on technical knowledge, technical know-how, technical ability, the ability to read the game, understanding of the game, when to move, not to move, how to move. He'll be depending on players of that particular ilk, as opposed to our players.
But there are people who are actually of the opinion that having been with the team for nearly a year now, he's someone who has a perfect picture of what the team can do and cannot do.
Yeah, it's true. To be honest with you, I was disappointed because this past year, I was disappointed because he's got way more experience than Otto Addo,
yes.
Didi Dramani. I think even George doesn't come close. If
yes.
you put all those three together, they don't come close. But I didn't see his handiwork in the team. I didn't see it at all. And
what were you expecting to see?
Well, a bit more cohesiveness, a bit more, pathology within the players and all that kind of. I didn't see it. I didn't see that technical ability. I still saw the team running around like headless chickens. Yeah, it's true. And I don't expect to see that when he takes the helm. And I thought that he could have, he could have instilled some more of those technical competencies in the team, which Otto Addo couldn't, which Derek Watting couldn't.
But Nana, you would have expected that as just a technical advisor, his role was just to advise the technical team and not to force them to accept whatever he says.
Well, you've got to put your foot down sometime. And if you see your team's not playing well, even, as technical advisor, you've got to say so. And you've got to stamp your authority on the game, because at the end of the day, even though Otto Addo is the coach, he has to look up to Chris. It's not just a matter of Chris giving the advice and you saying, oh, well, I won't take that, and I won't do this. No, because overall, you can see the effect that it had on the team. And even more so when you're working with a coach who has said that even if he wins the World Cup, he's going. So his view of his job, the view of the work he has to do, and all those kind of things is not something that he's really focused on, because at the end of the day, he's going somewhere else. So I felt that Chris could have imposed himself a little bit more, because Chris should have got the job in the first place. Let's face it.
So are you suggesting that the appointment of Chris Hughton has come a bit quite late?
No, it's not come a bit quietly. He should have been appointed in the first place. It's not come quietly because the Honourable MP Sam George told us already.
Quite late.
Oh, quite late.
Yes.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Well, it's never too late. It's never too late. And we have a GFA that we've had for years that makes a number of mistakes, numerous mistakes, and never seems to learn from them. So, it's not late as such, but I would hope that, in selecting the players, that this man will tell us, this is the criteria I'm using for selection. That's always been one of my main beefs, so that we know the reason why the players are there. Unfortunately, Sam George believes that this is a man who can be manipulated. Yeah, and we'll live to see if that's true. I don't believe that's the case. I believe this is a man who's got his coaching integrity intact, and he will stand up to the interest of GFA executive members who want to put their players into the senior national team. I think he must have a contract that it is at least 3 years, minimum, must be 3 years. Anything else, we're joking. A 2-year contract, we're joking once again. Must be 3 years. It can even be 5 years, to be honest with you. If I had someone of that caliber, I'll just give him a 5-year contract. And
could that be the reason why the FA, they've not given us the duration agreed with him yet? I don't know. It's based on the information available to us, is anything to go by. The FA were considering a 3-year contract as far back as March last year. So if they were considering maybe a 3-year contract, that would mean that he will be getting a longer contract more than the other coaches have had, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think.
But is that enough? 3 years is enough? Because CPR says it should be 5 years.
It's a minimum requirement. If he starts off with 3, that's a minimum requirement. It's certainly better than 2. But yes, ideally, give him 5 years. Let's work and build up the senior national team. And it's not just that. I think his experience and everything, It should be something that trickles down to the other senior national teams.
Okay.
Because he will be seeking to take players that have come up through the ranks if they're that good enough. But in order to make them that good enough, then there has to be a program that permeates all the different stratas of the national teams. And I think that he has to be a part of that process.
Okay, Nana, thank you. Yeah, hang on there for me. Let me speak to Laye Kingston, who is joining us via phone. Laye, thank you very much for your time. You've heard the announcement of Chris Hughton as the next head coach of the Black Stars. What do you make of the decision of the GFA?
Thank you very much, Mustafa, for this opportunity. And a very good morning to your cherished listeners. The appointment of Chris Hughton, for me, I think it's a very good one. The reason is, you know, it looks like the technical team still continue their job. Because if I'm not mistaken, the two assistant coaches are still there.
Yes.
So that shows the consistency in the technical team. The only person that is not there is former head coach
Otto Addo. Yes.
So for me, I think GFA has done very well by maintaining the same technical people, or most of them that were with the squad in the World Cup. So that's solid. Chris Hughton is someone that have experience. He's been in the Premiership for a long time. He's been around elite football environment for a long time. So he understands the modern football very, very well. So for me, where I'm sitting, I'm very, very happy that the GFA made that decision. The consistency is the key. The players know the backroom staff already, the technical team already, so nothing much will change. They understand what they are going to bring on board, and also the technical team, they will understand the players that are coming in. So I give thumbs up to the FA for making that decision.
What do you think Chris Hughton brings to the table as head coach of the Black Stars?
Like I said earlier on, experience. You know, we all know he's been with the Premiership for a long time.
Yes.
His experience as a coach have been amazing, and he understands the modern trend of football. You see, looking at Chris Hughton, he understands the principles and everything governing the game now. The former group, you can say. He acts as a technical director. He is not on the field that much.
Yes.
He stays back and advise, but different from someone that is on the pitch and delivering sessions, educating players, is different from a person staying at the top and then advising the coach there. So him being in charge now, I think he's going to, we cannot see, practically you can see what he has on board. And for me, the fact that he worked with top players before,
yes,
I think he understands the game and he will know what to do, and he will understand what Ghanaians need, or the current crop of players that are coming to play for the Black Stars will come and play for the Black Stars need. So that makes it easy for him, and then for the boys as players as well.
And this brings me to the point where many people have said that having been with the players and having had an understanding of what the dressing room is like, he is the perfect man to take up the job. But his appointment has come a bit quiet late. Do you subscribe to those who hold a certain opinion that the FA could have appointed him long ago, considering the fact that it was clear to them that Otto Addo was never going to continue as head coach of the Black Stars. And in fact, he never wanted to come in the first place.
Yeah, for me, whether it comes earlier or now, it's still the same. The good thing is, even when they appoint Otto Addo, he's still around the team. You know, yes, people can argue that he's supposed to come in, he's supposed to lead. But he was still around the technical team. So for me, I think nothing much has changed. But the only thing that has changed is now he is on the grass. He's on the grass more. That's the only thing that has changed. But I believe when Otto was there, Otto will listen to him in as much as he's not the one leading the sections, leading the meetings and all that. I think he's still around. So I don't think nothing much has changed. Whether they give it to him earlier or now I think it's still the same. So let's all pray and then support him and respect the decision of the FA. Okay,
Lai, stay with me. But this question is for you and Nana Agyeman. Let me start with Nana here. Nana, what do you make of the decision of the FA to maintain George Boateng and Didi Dramana as the assistant coaches?
The consistency that's required anyway. So I think it's fair dues. George Boateng has good experience as well. Didi is coming, and I think that Didi's role will probably be to look out for local players, because he knows the local players and the local terrain more than George and Chris does. So I think it's all right. There's still consistency there throughout. They've all been working together, so it's consistent. My only issue is that, look, at the end of the day, as I said before, they must be autonomous. They must make the decisions themselves. They must not be influenced by management members who want to see their players in the team. They must pick the best players that can represent Ghana, and it must be based on a criteria. We should know what that criteria is so that we can also measure things up and see that things are going the way it should go if we are to make progress.
Let me come to Lai Kingston on this, and Nana just mentioned something quite interesting. Lai, you would recall that when you and I spoke on Prime Take, you talked about the criteria for selecting players to the national team, and that you would always be one person who would be very transparent with Ghanaians when it comes to the criteria you are going to use in selecting players for the national teams. Just how important would it be for Chris Hughton's technical team to make it known to everyone that this is the criteria we want to rely on selecting players to the national team?
Yeah, criteria is the word, and it depends on how or what type of players the coach, Chris Hughton, wants. Maybe it could be Chris Hughton have a different idea about how we see his players. Especially, let's break it down to positions. Maybe backline, midfield area, attacking players. Chris Hughton have a certain type of players that he believes can help him do something. So when we talk about criteria, it depends on the coach and the type of players he wants in particular position. I think that's the key word. We have to have, it shouldn't be like someone, one of the management members, because his player is this, even though if he cannot meet you, the coach, your criteria, you have to manage and then bring him in. And I believe Chris Hughton is a big man. He's been working around football for so much, and I believe the FA members have so much respect for him, and they believe what he can do. So I am pleading with them to make sure they give him all the right to try and use his ideas and his criteria in picking players to come and play for the national team. Because at the end of the day, we wanted to build a solid national team. We wanted to build a team that can give us results. That's all we're looking for. And if we have appointed someone, we have to have that belief in him. We have to believe in him, give it that all the support that he will need to put us to wherever we wanted to be as a country. So for me, I believe the word is criteria.
The players
we have to respect him.
Yes.
We have, sorry to cut you. We have to respect him and then try to allow him to do his job with his management, with the technical team. Yeah.
The players you saw at the World Cup, do you foresee Chris Hughton maintaining the same crop of players or probably tweaking the team a bit?
I see him. I will speak for myself because I'm also a technical person.
Please
Maybe
do.
Chris Hughton have a different point, but if it's me, I believe I will still maintain at least 70% of the players that went to the World Cup.
Wow.
In the current squad.
That's a huge number.
Yes, 70%. The reason why I said that, if you look at the squad that we took to the World Cup, they are not bad at all. They are not bad at all. Because If you try to come in and then change totally everybody on the ground, I don't think you have a solid team. You go in, when you're building a team, you go in with the players that are there already, and then try to bring in the quality ones that will come, and then the regular players in the team competition. That's how you build a team. And then there is something called transition. You need to have a slow transition to build a team as well. So if you move, let's say 70% out and leave 30%, which means you are now coming to build the foundation from the scratch. And it will take longer. But if you maintain the same players, let's say the key players that you, the coach, coming in coach, you've seen the players and you know that, okay, that can help me achieve what I want. You maintain them and then try to bring in new ones that can strengthen the team. So if I'm in Chris Hughton's situation, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Mr. Agyemang, just come back pretty quick. Lai Atkinson says that if he were in the position of Chris Hughton, he would maintain at least 70% of the players that went to the FIFA World Cup. Nana, if you are to, do you subscribe to that first, like maintaining the 70%? Do you agree with that?
Lai is correct. I think 70% is a fair amount to maintain in order to build upon them as the core. I don't see anything wrong with that at all. I think he's correct. I think one of the issues that you've not touched that always causes a problem though is when the GFA say, "Oh, you must win the next AFCON. You must win the next this."
No, you are jumping the gun. I will come to that. I will come to that.
Anyway, Lai is correct. 70% is a fair percentage for one to maintain as the core of your team, and then you can look outside of that as who you would bring in to supplement that, create competition, because of course many of those 70% are like they're starters, aren't they really? That's what we're looking at. They would start, they're in the first 11. When you bring the other 30% there, that gives competition to certain key positions. And I think that you can build a team around the core with those other players who are now coming in supplementary to that, who one day too will become the core of the team.
Now tell me, the 30% of the players, which players would you fade out of the team?
Now you're being mischievous because if I start calling names, I'll not go through my working day because I'll get lambasted left and right. But there are some players that do have names that do need to be filtered out of the team. I'm not trying to retire anyone from football or anything like that. But for me, with a long-term vision, a 3-year vision, I would expect to achieve something at the end of 3 years. And I think that I can, but I don't think that I must rely on household names that are there already, who are still good, still formidable, but perhaps can't give me the 90 minutes that I want. And it's the 90 minutes that is crucial. I need everybody to be able to give me 90 minutes so that if I have cause and reason to substitute a player, it's probably because, oh, they've had a knock. And so they can't continue at the pace that they were playing initially.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not going to name any names. Let's leave that down to Chris. I know who I'm talking about. And
you have the names in your head, isn't it?
Yes, of course I do. Every coach would. Every coach would. But let's leave that to Chris. Let's not put any undue pressure on him.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that if he doesn't follow the way I would go, the pressure will come on him. He will see that some players can't give him 100% of what he really is demanding. And in so doing, he will have to make those changes anyway if he's going to be successful. So, let's leave it to him.
Okay.
I know who should and who shouldn't be there. I'm a coach. I'm very aware technically. But let's leave it to Chris.
Should I mention one of the names for you, or I shouldn't?
No, you shouldn't.
Okay, I get it. So you stay there. Now let me get Lai Kinsey's thoughts on this one pretty quick. Lai, just how long do you think that if the FA hands to Chris Hughton, he would be able to achieve results with this team? What if you were Chris Hughton? What duration of contract do you think would be enough for you to succeed?
For me, I think a coach, every new coach that comes in, sometimes it will take longer, sometimes it will take shorter. It depends on the quality you already have in the team already.
Okay.
So for me, looking at the current crop of players that the national team have already,
yes,
looking at them, at least I did like 6 months to have confidence in my team. Okay. The reason being said that I have my philosophy. It's now that I have to introduce my philosophy either on the ball and off the ball situation with my boy. They have to get used to what I'm expecting from them. Okay. And I should also understand individually first their qualities and positions that I believe they can help the team. They're individually first before I look at the coordination or collectively among each other first. Okay. So in my first 2, 3, 4 weeks, let's say a month, that introduction should have gone across already. Okay. Of course, it's not all of them that will take in information easy. Some of them it will take them time. So that gives me another month. But after 2 months, definitely I should make sure every one of my players understand that. And that's when the proper team building starts. Okay. That's when you bring in intensity. That's when you bring in aggression. That's when you bring in you let them understand there are situations that sometimes you need to calm down. Sometimes you have to bring the tempo of the game. So for me, I think within 3 months they should understand, and then the other 3 months it's we going in to look for results.
Okay, the Ghana FA, over the years, per what we've come to know them, anytime they are appointing a coach, one thing we hear is, go and win this tournament. Go and win that tournament. The first assignment for Chris Hughton will be happening on March 20, if the days for the AFCON qualifiers are anything to go by. And that will be against Angola, likely to happen at the Cape Coast Sports Stadium. First things first, would it be mandatory for the Ghana FA to ask Chris Hughton to qualify us to the African Cup of Nations 2024? Do you think the FA should ask him to qualify us to the AFCON? Wouldn't that be putting pressure on him? Lai?
Yes, of course. Every coach, if you are going for appointment or someone is appointing the person I've targeted, everyone is different. We find ourselves that this is our mentality. Ghanaians are football people. They love the game. So we find ourselves in a situation whereby Ghanaians want us to win trophies. So if you are coming in as a coach, that's what Ghanaians want. Let's say Real Madrid is signing a coach. Definitely they will give the coach an assignment that he has to go and win the league or win Champions League, because that's Real Madrid. Go to Madagascar, other countries. With them, they wanted to be part of it. They want to come and make impact. So that appointment will be different from a coach coming to coach Ghana, because Ghanaians, we want to go and have results. So it depends on you, the coach. You go in and you know what they want. If they put pressure, then you have to work towards that, because that's what the person that appoints you, that's what is demanding. Then you have to work towards that. So for me, I don't have anything to do. I don't see anything wrong about Ghanaians or the FA
asking him to go and win.
Asking every coach that comes in to go and win. But everybody will do the thing.
But Lai, you coaches will always talk about consistency, right? And anytime Senegal chalks success, then we come back to the conversation of consistency. Someone like Ali Cisse, he's been there since 2014, 2015, and through that consistency they had with the technical team, we saw the results they chalked, winning the African Cup of Nations. In fact, he qualified to the 2018 World Cup He qualified to the 2019 AFCON and made it to the final, but lost the final to Algeria. Then the following AFCON, which took place in Cameroon, he was there to win it. He went to the World Cup. He made it to a round of 16. Consistency, because this is a man, many people actually believe that his ideas has moved for like 7 separate years with different kinds of players within the national team. Should Ghanaians not be patient with Chris Hughton and say that, okay, GFA, let's build something with Chris Hughton, so that we say in the next 5 years, we want to win the AFCON. Instead of just saying that, okay, AFCON 2024, Chris Hughton, go and win the AFCON for us.
Muftao, yeah, you are right. But all the records that you made about Aliou Cissé and Senegal, they go in and they perform well, even if they don't win. So trust me, if Ghana FA said, lie, or any other person, I'm giving you this team, go and win. And you go in there, you perform very, very well. It's all about performance. It's all about you going into the tournament and making impact. Trust me, Ghanaians will be happy, if not 100% happy. At least they will be like, wow, the team did well. They were close to the cup. They made impact in the tournament. You see, but unlike you go in your first round or in the group stages, you are out. As for that one, definitely the people that employ you, they will not be happy. But if you go in like Senegal, you are putting up their records, their results.
Yeah, 2015. I remember 2015
through these 7 years.
Yes.
You can see they were close. They made impact. They were doing very well, but they were just not winning the trophy. But at the right time, they won it. So when you go in and you perform well, definitely Ghanaians will look at you and be like, okay, I think we are doing the right thing. Let's continue to do that. Okay. But if you go and you don't perform well, you are out of the competition. That's when Ghanaians will tell you, please, leave the job.
Thank you, Lai Kingston. Nana, please just wrap up for me within a minute. Would it be an overkill if the FA asked Chris Hughton to go and win the next AFCON 2024 in Cote d'Ivoire?
Qualify, no problem. Standard, Ghana should qualify every single time. But we always overkill by saying go and win it, and then we always come out to tell the public that, oh, we're going to win the World Cup, oh, we're going to win the AFCON. I think those days are over. We should stop that. It's tomfoolery. I want to also say a couple of other things. I think we've got to ensure this time round, because we talked a lot about criteria, and players that I would like to see come in is Painstill and Ashimiro. I've always been arguing for them, and there are a few more. But let me just touch back on what Lai said about, you know, the 6 months thing he was talking about players understanding his philosophy and everything like that. I think in club football, that's the way forward. But this isn't club football, and he's going to need a longer time, because he's not going to be amongst those players as frequently as he would like to be, or as frequently as he would be if it was club football. I understand that philosophy, club football, but it doesn't actually apply in the same way when you're talking about national teams.
That's true.
You get very limited time to work with them and impart what it is you wish to impart to them. So that will take a longer time. And that's why I say 3 years is a minimum. 5 years should really be what Chris Hughton has on his contract. When I watched our performance in the last competition we played, and even though we came home, I was very much enthused by it. And I felt that the next AFCON, we could win it. But even if we don't, we must certainly win it within the next 5 years. Most certainly. If we maintain Chris, we maintain the technical team with him, we do not interfere. That is key. No interference whatsoever, because the Senegalese didn't come this up. Their management committee members were telling the coach what to do. He clearly ran the show himself.
Yes.
And he was very close to the line on getting fired on several occasions.
Yeah, many times.
Yes, and they just held out and just kept backing him. So if we ensure that there's no interference from those gurus who believe they are the coach, even though they've employed the coach, I think the future can be bright. If Chris utilizes a criteria that we can all understand technically and what local people can understand to say, well, yes, these are the best players that are being called, and players that also have form and not being denied, then for me, the future is bright.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nana. I appreciate your time. And thanks very much. Despite the short notice, you were able to deliver for us. We appreciate you as always. And Larry Kingston, thanks very much too for joining us via phone. That is how we wrap up the conversation here. Most of these things we've spoken about, you can head on to my Joy Online /sports, and you will hear the thoughts of these two gentlemen that joined us for the conversation on Chris Hughton's appointment as the next coach of the Black Stars. The GFA said the details of the agreement with him will be announced subsequently. And when they do, we'll be here to share them with you. Thanks very much for joining us. The show continues right after this.